You're welcome back from that very informative and enlightening segment with Dr. James Komolafe on the behavioral check segment. I'm sure you have been able to learn a thing or two on how to manage stress at work, at home, and generally wherever is it you operate. And of course, this now leads us to our first interview for the day. I have what is called Google Alert on my phone. That is, you activate certain keywords on your email, and then anytime there is any information on the news that makes it to the internet, you will definitely be alerted about it. And one of such is Ndlea, and I tell you, it tops the list of the alerts I get every day, like hourly. You must have an alert on Ndlea busts drug, Ndlea does this, Ndlea does that, and this gives me a mixed feeling, so to speak. On one hand, I'm happy we have an agency that is up to task. On the other hand, I think about it like, okay, if these guys are this busy, that means we must have some very, very serious drug control challenge. But it's a good thing that we have an agency that is up to that task, and that's why we've decided today to invite, and we are glad that the agency has honored our invitation by sending us a man that is best suited for this conversation. And that's why I will have to urge you, dear viewers, to help us welcome to the studio the Secretary of Ndlea, Mr. U.S. Haruna. Good morning, and it's good to have you in our studios.
I'm delighted.
Shadrach, sorry.
Well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to the studio, sir. First of all, let's start from the beginning. Paint for us the state of hard drug use, trafficking, and everything in between in Nigeria, as it were today.
Well, thank you. If you ask me to paint, it's something that I would first of all start from the research, because that's the only empirical evidence showing the prevalence of drug use in the country currently. But of course, with all the offensive action which has been launched since 2021, you can see the number of drugs being mopped from the street all the time, and that tells you clearly that there's huge cache of drugs flowing in the country. And I think this came from the backlog of what I may call neglect or something of that nature that has pervaded the issue of drug control for a long time. The 2018 research conducted by UN and the National Bureau of Statistics shows that there's a huge prevalence of drugs in the country. Indeed, about 14 point something million Nigerians are said to be using drugs, and that is a very high percentage compared to what is happening worldwide. And it is an unacceptable figure, really, because if that figure is as at 2018, if we have a 14.3 or thereabout millions Nigerians using drugs, you can imagine what will happen in the next coming years. But of course, the offensive action launched since 2021, which were yet to measure the impact, has really, really reduced the drug prevalence. I can tell you that, within and without. Indeed, we have received information from our partners abroad to show clearly that the number of Nigerians in prisons abroad has reduced considerably in the past 3 years. The Thai government, the ambassador to the Thai government came to our office to confirm this to us, to say, look, Ndlea, well done for what you are doing. Before now, we have a huge number of Nigerians on drug-related cases in prison in Thailand, in Bangkok. But today they can confirm that increasingly there's a decrease in the number of people arrested at the airport, and also the number of people going to jail for drug-related offenses. So we believe that if we have to measure the effort put in the last 3 years or 4 years, will certainly show that there's a gradual reduction. But of course, the task is yet to be completed, because we cannot say we have succeeded. We still have to step up our offensive action, and then all issues relating to fighting drugs to ensure that we remove drugs from the street.
But first of all, again, let's go back, because there must be a reason why you have this huge number of people, over 14 million people, involved in drug abuse in Nigeria. What are some of these factors that push Nigerians? First, let's concentrate on the issue of use, because when you talk about Thailand, you're talking about, of course, trafficking in drugs. But let's talk about drug use in Nigeria. Why do you think so many people are resorting to use of hard drugs within the country?
Well, if you talk of youth, I think their own basically is peer pressure. You know, you want to be like this person, you want to belong to this group, you want to belong to the social club. So the essence of it is when you see your friends using it, particularly in schools, there's just no reason why somebody in school should be using drugs. If not for peer pressure or for the fact that they want to be, or they want to do like other persons to belong. So that's exactly what we've seen. And then of course you have a predisposing factors like poverty and deprivations as well. And then of course people who are also suffering from certain type of social deprivation can also resort to drug use. But of course, basically we have seen that youth, particularly students, is as a result of peer pressure and environmental factors, maybe where they live and all this other things.
Now, I think you will agree that drug use in Nigeria, especially hard drug use in Nigeria, vary from different region to region.
Yes.
Of course, some time ago in the northwest region, we see a preponderance of women, especially married women, being arrested or being touted as drug users. Why this? And what are the realities in other parts of the country?
Well, I think, of course it differs from one state to another, from one region to another, from one social background to another. You know, when it was discovered that so many women are into, of course the research also showed that out of every 4 women, we have 1 of them using drugs, which means the prevalence is also high amongst women. And that is to tell you that the hitherto conservative group of persons have started using drugs as well. You know, women, of course, they're the homemaker, they're the one who actually have to build a social cohesion at home. But if they are using drugs, then of course it's something to worry about. But what actually predisposes such women to drug use is something that we're yet to actually research into. But of course, urbanization is one of those things, like I've mentioned, or somebody who's undergoing certain social emotional problem, they want to use drugs for momentary relief or something like that. Otherwise, we cannot say it has to do with sociological background of such individual or the way he lives. But of course, to me, the urbanization, because if you look at the prevalence, you see Lagos, which is in the southwest, is the highest prevalence of drug use. Then you go to cities like Kano, Port Harcourt, and all those areas. But of course, it tells you too that that comes from the urbanized setting of the area where they live. But there could be also social factors which are yet to investigate. There could also be certain other factors like push factors, such as poverty, such as social deprivation, maybe somebody who is going through marital issues. You know, we don't know. We're yet to have that scientific investigation to come up with it.
Okay, talking about cross-border trafficking of drugs, because there are drugs that are manufactured, hard drugs that are manufactured within the country, and there are those that have to be imported. Which is more prevalent, especially in use within Nigeria?
Well, the most prevalence now is Indian hemp, which is marijuana, and methamphetamine, because these two are being produced in the country. Methamphetamine is being produced in large quantity in clandestine laboratories. We've had to destroy so many of such clandestine laboratories lately. And of course, they do it in such a manner, in a clandestine manner, that you need to have intelligence. It's an intelligence-led type of operation. So many of them, some of them operate from the forest. Some operate from a well-known settlement, like highbrow area, like VGC for instance, or anywhere you think that, oh, these are the place that's exclusive. They operate from there. There's just a small lab, either in the kitchen or somewhere, and they start manufacturing meth. And that is being produced and is being used greatly in the country as well and exported as well. Same with marijuana, which is being cultivated anywhere. It can grow anywhere. It can grow in this room, so long as there's light. And people are using marijuana, using it, cannabis, using it a lot. So those ones are actually being exported out of the country and being used greatly in the country as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but what is the threat level for the country regarding the picture you've just painted?
Well, the point there is, I think, with the high use of drugs, of course, you expect the consequential effect is violence. And when you see bandits, you see terrorism, and you see all these kidnappers, of course, they cannot operate without the use of drugs. So that is actually the worry we have, apart from the fact that the population, the youth populations, have been deprived their productive capacity because of drugs. We also have these security issues, which all of us have to be concerned about. The government is concerned about it, and that's why we're doing a lot to see how to remove this drug. But it's not a fight for the government alone, it's a fight for everyone, families, churches, communities, and traditional rulers.
Now, since 2021, there has been a difference in the operations of Ndlea with respect to offensive on drug use and related crimes that are under the purview of the agency. What has been the push? Is it because of the new man in charge, or there is something underneath? Because, like I said in the introduction, every day I get a lot of the activities and operations of the Ndlea, including a very recent one that got Nigerians talking about a snake-guarded shrine where drug is actually being stored. So what's been the motivation for these very wonderful activities?
Well, thank you. I think you just got the answer too from your mouth as well, saying that is it the man at the helms of affairs? I think it's leadership. Leadership can change anything. And what we have currently, because you see, is the same staff with the same skills that are coming out to this result. We've not changed staff, basically, other than adding a new ones. But those old staff who are there are still the one performing this feat you're seeing. But that has to be translated to the leadership of the agency. Because 2021, there was a change of leadership. And the new person, General Buba Marwa, came with a new strategy and a way to motivate the staff. In fact, the first thing he did was to see that, look, they have to clear all the backlog of allowances, backlog of promotions, and all those things to motivate the staff to work. You can't be in a place and you don't feel that, look, whatever you're doing is not appreciated. Some of them have been working hard, but they're not being appreciated. The next thing is there's lethargy. Nobody wants to work. But with all those ones, they came back to themselves again and started putting in their skills. Of course, they're well qualified, well trained, and there's a huge number of experts among them in detecting drugs. So I think the whole thing is leadership. I'll just say that, as simple as that.
Then what have been some of the challenges hindering? Because I know that as much as you are doing enough, you want to do more. So what are those things that have been hindering the operations of the agency?
Well, the first factor, I think, is funding. Funding is one of the greatest meditating factor against the agency. You can imagine when officers are operating, and they're operating from their homes, civilian homes, and nothing, and they go back to live among the civilians. Until recently, there's no motivation for them to say, oh, you have a quarter where you'll be protected after your war.
Your operations.
But now, from 2021, the new management started barrack construction. And the government, in support of that, provided fund for it. Government provided fund for those ones who have been owed the arrears of allowances and so many other things. So you can see that payment of those arrears, payment of their, promotions due to them, and the fact that barracks are being constructed for them, and some of them are being rented accommodation. And the government is providing armored vehicles for terrible operations when they have to go for operations, where it's a very in an area that is very dangerous. And they are also being provided with scanners at the airports. So detection became very easy. So if all those equipments are being provided, operational vehicles, since 2021, operational vehicles have been consistent, but then of course we're not yet there to meet the requirement of the agency. In fact, what the operational vehicle we have to date is just about 1/10 of what is required for the agency. Same thing with accommodation and the scanners we need. If we have more scanners than what we have currently, I think the detection rate at the airports will be higher. If we have more dogs, sniffer dogs, we need sniffer dogs, not just at the airport and the ports. We even need them on the road, because some of these buses carry these dogs around. But one sniffer dog is so expensive that we need a lot of money to buy the sniffer dogs.
And not just buying them, also maintaining them.
So you see, these are some of the factors militating against the operation of the agency. But I think gradually government is realizing that, because the nexus between drugs and violent extremism, criminality is very huge. It's now seen clearly, it's well established, and government is doing something to see that if you address drug factors, you would have also addressed about 50% of criminalities as well.
Now, of course, you've mentioned before that Ndlea alone cannot combat, cannot fight this fight alone. Yes. What's your level of, cooperation and interaction with other agencies, such as the police, the army, and others?
Well, the coordination between other agencies is now working very well.
Okay.
With customs, police, immigration, NCDC, road safety, we're all working and cooperating with them.
Okay.
That's part of the strategy put in place to ensure that we have a holistic approach. And apart from that, we also have preventive mechanism, which is the campaign. And then that was why WADA was launched in 2021, War Against Drug Abuse.
Okay.
And the WADA is a whole society approach to fighting drug use, in the sense of campaign to the grassroots, the traditional rulers, faith-based organizations, and media organizations like yours, and so many others. So that outreach of WADA has really shown clearly that prevention, which is the theme for this year, the evidence is clear, invest in prevention. We are investing in prevention through WADA, and reaching out to schools, and so many schools have been covered. But then we're not resting on our oars. We're still continuing. But that again depends on funding. And we're asking government, because the agency was privileged to have some extra budget reallocation, which had to be used for all these things I'm talking about. The purchase of operational vehicles, as well as this WADA, the launch of WADA. And now in all our commands, we have WADA operation going on every day, on daily basis. The next push for the agency is to make sure that in all local government, the agency cover all the local governments.
Wow.
And we're trying to build offices to maintain offices in all the local governments of the Federation. Basically for this campaign, to ensure that we have a very good outreach to the grassroots level. Because whether you like it or not, drug is being used at the grassroots level. Go to villages, I went to my village recently and I saw the huge use of drugs there. Everybody, almost all the youth are on drugs. I don't know whether they need it to become thugs. Some of them are political thugs, and we need to prevent this. And the way to prevent it is to go out with this campaign and see that even local communities, traditional rulers, families are involved in it. And that is the essence of the recruitment we've carried out in the last 2-3 years, to ensure that every nook and crannies of this country is properly policed and properly covered with the WADA program.
Okay, there is a conference. I don't know if it's still ongoing or it has been completed some few days ago. I saw some of my colleagues who work with you talking about an ongoing conference. I think it's an annual conference. I can't recall the name. But in addition to all of this, what other strategies are being adopted to ensure that your personnel stay on top of their game to be able to meet the mandate of the agency?
Okay, well, what you mean the conference is probably the commemoration of International Drug Day.
Yes, International Drug Day. Yes.
It's actually tomorrow.
Okay.
The grand finale is tomorrow. It's a a week-long program,
okay,
which we started last week. Yes, what we are doing to ensure that they stay on top of the game is one, the agency is carrying on with these motivation issues I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The severance package is being prepared, and we're waiting for government approval. If they see the severance package, there's that motivation that, look, I don't have to be involved in any form of corruption to ensure that when I want to exit, I have this money to go back home with. That one is being pursued, and we're waiting to see if government will give us approval. It's very key to motivating staff. And secondly, the barrack issue is also a key thing. The one in Abuja is almost completed. There's another one in Lagos which is ongoing, and before the year runs out, it will be completed. The one in Yola is completed, and we're opening up in other areas like Enugu, Port Harcourt, and other areas as well. To see, as the money comes, we build these barracks to ensure that they have their safety. So that's part of the motivational factors that the agency is trying to put in place to see that officers at all time are really motivated to do their work.
Oh.
And apart from that, of course, the promotion is also ongoing.
Okay.
Over and above this, we also have the cleansing mechanism within the system, which will act as deterrent to those ones who are susceptible to being corrupt. The cleansing mechanism is such that the management, the chairman, will not suffer a fool gladly. Meaning that anyone who commits an offense, and with all this type of packages coming in, and they're still being tempted to do corruption, you have to exit the agency. And they know that. When he first came in, he told them clearly that, look, nobody should stand against the moving train. And that message is continually being drummed into everybody's ears. Don't worry, whatever pertains to you will be given to you. Whatever is yours will be given to you. But if you stand against the moving train, you'll be crushed.
Wow.
So everybody, I think that message is very clear to them.
I think that's a very strong place to start from.
Yes.
Because if you are asking people not to go through the back door,
yes,
my adage will say, leave the front door open.
That's true. That's true.
All right, but before we wrap up, because I know that definitely when we engage with people like you, you always have a message for the public, especially the youth generation.
Yes.
What would you be telling any young Nigerian who thinks that drug is the way?
Well, I think every Nigerian, not just the youth, particularly the youth anyway, because they have the future.
Yeah.
If they want their futures to be assured, they should go away from drug, run away from drug. Drug is something that will limit your capability, will limit you in your quest to become who you want to be. Drugs will take you into poverty, death, and also make you to be like a drag of the society. So my message to them is to go away from drug, stay away from it, don't touch it, don't feel it's the coolest thing to do. Make sure that you have your focus, and anybody in this country can become the president of this country. If you stay away from drug, your chances are that you may become the president of this country one day.
That's a very powerful motivation this morning. Drug is not the way. I don't think it would have been said any better. And it's on this note that we have to sincerely thank you, Mr. Shadrach Haruna, for making it to the studio. Except if there's any other thing that you would want us to know, this is where we'll have to call it a day. But if there is any, please let us know before we wrap it up.
Well, thank you. I think my message to those who are also into the trade, those who are trading in drugs, they should also look for better things to do, because the climate has changed completely. It's not just going to jail. If you are caught, all you have labored for, so long as you are into drug and you are caught with it, the lifestyle audit will be done, and the lifestyle crime is that of drug. So the presumption, the basic presumption, is that all you have came from drug proceeds, and those things will be forfeited.
And that reminds me, there is a bill in the National Assembly prescribing death penalty for drug trafficking. How far is the agency pushing this?
Well, we are not pushing. The agency is not pushing for
Okay.
death penalty. Nobody is pushing for death penalty.
Okay.
I think it is the National Assembly to do their own job,
Okay.
and they have decided to do that. But of course, it's subject to reconciliation.
Okay.
It's still not done. It's still not complete. We don't. We have a say, which we have already aired our views about it.
Okay.
But certainly, the reconciliation team will come together again to see whether it is desirable to have death penalty or not.
Okay.
And I think death penalty was petition from our legislation on drugs, right from the time of Bangida. That's a military era.
Yeah.
But this civilian regime that is so concerned about human rights, so I don't know what will happen, but that is left for the National Assembly
To
to do,
decide.
which is a different arm of government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shadrach Haruna, Secretary,
you.
Nigeria Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate your presence this morning. And it's on this note that we have to go join the financial experts on the Investment Plus segment for those very vital tips. We'll be right back with our health secretariat officials for the last interview on the program.